Vincent GAGLIOSTRO, we're here at your new exhibition at Gallery Neck. How did you come upon the title?
There never was a narrative. Well, I had committed to the exhibition quite some time before we were all affected by COVID and lockdowns and, and our kind of daily way of navigating ourselves through life and cities and countries. So what happened was, I didn't have any of my familiar resources available. Like, I take many trips to New York, and my work really gets, derived from my, my relationships to society, and in my case, very much the world of New York and my friends, and just the history of living in New York over 45 years and now living in Paris. And my usual sources that I would go to for when I was would be putting together visual language for a new series of work. So what I did was, and then I realized that the word narrative came to mind, and that's if I have a narrative of the way, to describe the way I make my work, that was the narrative. And that narrative no longer, existed. And so it was a little scary, and, safe territory no longer existed. And the only thing that existed that was familiar was my old work. Stacks of it put into, big leather portfolios over time, and scraps of pieces of cuttings of things, and just a lot of stuff, from pieces of glitter to wood to, every kind of material you can imagine, And then there was old work, which I decided that, well, I know how the old work can serve me now. I'll just cut it up and use pieces of it and make new work. So I happened upon an envelope of a series of Polaroids that I took of a tree, I think one Polaroid every hour on the hour for a 24-hour period, when I was spending the summer one year, 1993, in Shelter Island. And those pictures have really served me very well. I've done huge paintings based on them. I've done so many things based on them. And what I had left were some notebooks and the actual Polaroids. So I started to do a bunch of small paintings like these, using very different materials, some really I don't want to call it garbage, but like scraps of silver bags and plastics and pieces of paper that I might have thrown some glitter on for something else, latex, rubber, grommets, anything that was around and in my boxes of stuff. And so I started to think about, well, this is my journal for the moment.
Take me through some of them.
And, well, if you take a look at this piece, and also there was a series of black and white photographs that I had taken one summer when I was staying in East Hampton, and the house had a path going to the ocean. And I had all these files of these images that I had taken, which which really informed these drawings and a few of the others that are, down the road here. And
you always like gold and glitter, don't you?
Yeah, it's why not? And I started to bring this example, this is a piece from an old drawing, you know, and I had a bunch of these clear acetates, colored acetates lying around. And here I had pieces of linen lying around and some old bark from a tree. This is the tree. This is one version of the Polaroid tree. And there's old fabric underneath plaster of Paris. Just working with anything that was kind of around, you know, that were, you know, I have boxes of all of this stuff, you know, that went into making other works. So it started to really be an incredible, it started to turn into something that I thought was not going to be so much fun to do. But, you know, and I started to, this is, you know, it's water, obviously. And I started to think of all the garbage that we find that's, you know, polluting the water. And, but I always wanted to make, each piece had to be beautiful. It had to have a beauty to it, you know. So that was really, you know, important, because that juxtaposition between, you know, the pain of loss, the pain of ugliness, the pain of deterioration, the pain of loneliness. We need beauty to, you know, how can the end result of all of that be beautiful? You know, I mean, people might not think it's beautiful, but
I do.
I do. And yeah, the same for all of these works. This piece of pink glitter is from a series of images that I had thrown glitter on that was left over, and like all of these tapes and stuff are from backs of drawings. You know, the only thing kind of new, even though I took the pictures a long time ago, are the black and white images. You know, and then
and who is he?
This is someone that I did a number of pieces on quite some time ago, years ago. And I had found this one print that I made on very fine paper. And I thought it related because everything was about nature, and he was in the middle of nature. And then I took some wood and burnished it, and, you know.
It's great. It's very intense, that little red bit. It's very intense, this red coming down the center. Does it have a particular significance?
The fabric?
The red, yeah.
This?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, you know, like fabric, you know, like kind of bleeding through in a way, you know, old rags that kind of got stuck out in a storm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that kind of thing. And, you know, this again is just bits and pieces of stuff. None of this is, you know, all this is old. This is all from an old etching.
You know that saying, like, someone's garbage is someone's treasure?
Yeah, exactly. Well, my own garbage ended up being my own treasure.
Which is great. Which is great.
Again, and this is, you know, kind of all of the same reference.
In the back, we have the boys' room.
Yeah, the boys' room, yeah.
I like all these filters. These I never saw before, these.
Yeah, these were very old drawings that I updated, that I just worked on. But again, they were old drawings, and I added the references to the tree. Mm-hmm. And what was there before was these kind of surgical tape. And then these are actually from a notebook that I just kind of tore apart. And from an exhibit, notebook from an exhibit I had here in 2007.
So this is what, the 4th exhibit at the Gallery Neck?
I'm not sure. Fifth.
5th, okay.
That's Gallery Neck over there.
This is Gallery Neck.
They're having lunch though.
Okay, we won't.
Artists don't get to eat until they're finished working.
Well, I'll be happy to take you to lunch after if you'd like.
And then there's always the little nod to, you know, my DNA.
Queer art.
Always with a few paillettes and lots of glitter, and this is 6 a.m. in the morning, freedom. A tout queer means we're all queer,
Wow.
no matter what our preferences are. You know.
In whose eyes?
And this again is from an old notebook and an old, from 2010, opinion piece by Frank Rich. A heaven-sent blank boy, for the sake of anybody. You just have to kind of imagine what the blank is under the pink glitter.
Can you pick up the last piece you just brought in and explain the Marilyn? Where is
Oh,
it?
this piece. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just brought this in today, even though we're opening tonight, and it's not on the price list yet, but it will be.
And show me the back.
And what this is, again, this is one of the actual Polaroids. And I just, for some reason, the first thing that came to mind was surround the Polaroid by gold, and which I then thought of all the Warhol portraits of Marilyn Monroe, and the gold ones especially. That was, you know, and this is from my notebook drawing based on the tree. And so, since the first thought that I made that came to my mind was Marilyn, and the picture was taken, and the title is derived from when and where the picture was taken. It's a late summer view from Maryland.
Let's see your writing, because you have nice handwriting.
Oh, and this is my writing, you know.
Thank you very much.
And you can always hang it either way. You know,
Yes, it's multifaceted.
It's multifaceted.
When you feel gold.
But it's
you
actually
gold.
turning into almost one of my favorite pieces in the show.
Ah, that's great. And it's the last piece to be hung.
Mm-hmm.
And how long is the show up at Gallery
It's up
Neck?
until November 20th? Yes, November 20th.
November 20th at
Yes.
117 Rue Vieille de Temple
Oui.
in the Marais.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mon plaisir. This story, we have a big story about this picture, don't we?